Welcome to r/LegalAdvice, where we read surprisingly interesting stories that don't end in a cliffhanger, I promise. Before we start, I would just like to say happy birthday to user Jen from the comments. Let's all wish her a happy birthday. And now let's dive right into the stories. Restaurant owners took 24% of my tip last night. I live in Maryland. I wait tables for $3.63 an hour plus tips. Last night I was handed an invoice for a party I was working, and at the very bottom, written in pen, the owner's wife/co-owner wrote tip multiply by 0.78 equals tip for server. That is 22% of my gratuity. On top of that, they have been taking 2% of our gratuity every night to help pay for the credit/debit card transactions. The fact that the owners are taking our tip money because they need spending money infuriates me, especially considering we already share 25% with the support service staff. Edit, thanks all for the advice. My plan now is to confront one of the owners about it and make sure to record what he has said. Updates will come later. Edit number 2, to all those concerned, I actually started working at another job 3 months ago in anticipation of this restaurant going out of business or me having to quit. Haven't pulled the trigger yet because even with both jobs, money is tight. Being trained to bartend at the new place, and from the looks of it, once I'm done with my training, the money from that will sustain me enough so that I can quit the restaurant in question. I appreciate the concern, you have all been incredibly helpful. Next update, I'm actually working a shift at this place right now. My plan was to talk with the owners in person after the shift. However, a handful of you have suggested emailing/texting would be better, since there is no guarantee they would consent to being recorded. My plan now is to email them either after my shift tonight or sometime tomorrow after I have made some necessary calls. I understand now that it may be legal after all, given that it was an included service charge. Some have speculated that they may be paying employer-based taxes with it. However, for the past 5 years I've been here, they have not been going anywhere near our gratuities. Hopefully they will be honest with me when I email them, and I can let you guys know what is really going on. You know guys, that is actually one of the things that I really dislike about the US, seeing how little you get paid for being a waitress at a restaurant and that you have to rely on tips in order to survive. What is your opinion about that whole situation? Feel free to let us know in the comments. Update to the restaurant story from before. Called the labor board today, turns out it was all legal, the gratuity was an included and required charge. In Maryland, they are allowed to take as much of it as they want in this case, as long as I still make minimum wage hourly plus tip, which I did. I guess I will be jumping ship soon anyways. The place is falling apart and the owners cannot figure anything out. If any employee in any department left right now, it would be disastrous for the restaurant. I already know that at least 2 other vital employees are planning to quit pretty soon as well because of how undervalued we all are. The owners have zero grasp of the concept of morale and how much it affects your business and the loyalty of your employees. I will be happy to leave this place behind me and watch it crumble shortly thereafter. The new place I started at a few months ago has been a completely different experience for me. I feel overwhelmingly valued, management is committed to supporting their staff, and the business is off the charts. I am doing well. Thanks for all the support. On a side note, if any of my RIPE stars have ever worked in a restaurant, what has been the largest tip you have ever gotten? Feel free to tell us in the comments. Mom stole a trust fund I did not know I had. Now the IRS is coming after me for unpaid taxes on the withdrawal. When I was a kid, my grandparents would give my brother and I checks for every holiday and birthday towards a mutual fund they opened in our names. My mom always told us we could not access the money until we were 25. A few years ago, I asked her about it and she told me the mutual funds investments had gone bankrupt and there was nothing left in the accounts. Fast forward to Thursday, my dad got a letter from the IRS addressed to me. I asked him to open it as I live in Canada now and shipping could take a while. In it, the IRS demanded the tax between $300 and $400 for around $3,600 withdrawn from the account. I was blown away as I had never accessed the account before. I did not even know my account number or anything of the sort. I called the company that held the account and they told me the account had been cashed out in August 2013. The check had been overnighted to my mother's house in Florida. They informed me it was not fraud as my mother is the custodian of the account and it was assumed the money would be for my benefit. However, I was living in Canada by then and never knew or saw a penny of that money. She did not fill out the 1099B that came with it and so it lapsed. What is my next step? Could I sue her for the original $3,600? Honestly, she's a broke crack addict and I never hope to get that money back. She also stole my inheritance from my grandparents and about $5,000 in US savings bonds from me prior to this. Right now I am mostly concerned that I do not want to pay the IRS for having been stolen from. How do I approach or dispute this with the IRS? After finding out, I also had my brother see his account history with them. Same story, 2.5k withdrawn at the same time as my account. The IRS has not contacted him yet. Should he preemptively contact them or wait to get a demand letter as well? Is the mutual fund in any way liable? I think the answer is no, but I feel it should be asked. I am still currently temporary resident in Ontario, US citizen. Brother lives in Texas, mom now lives in VA. The account was set up and cashed out in Florida. I am feeling lost and betrayed and any help would be appreciated. Thanks in advance. You know guys, this story reminds me of a story within my own family where an uncle of mine who was the godfather of my brother suggested that he would open, I think it was a similar fund like the one in the story, and my brother always thought that the uncle is putting money in that fund, but in the end it turned out that this particular uncle was not very good at saving money and instead preferred to spend the money on himself. Did you guys ever have a trust fund? Let us know in the comments. Update to the trust fund story. I am only 3 years late but wanted to update this post. I reached out to the IRS who, after several phone calls and hours on hold, told me nothing could be done and to just pay up. I called one more time and a much nicer agent told me more kindly that nothing could be done unless I could get my mother to admit to withdrawing the money in writing. I told her that if she just told the truth, admitted it to me and the IRS and wrote the letter, I would forgive her and we could put it behind us. She refused. I told her to not contact me again until she was ready to stop blaming others and admit what she had done. A few blissfully calm weeks later, she called me and apologized. She wrote a handwritten letter stating she withdrew the money without my knowledge and none of the proceeds went towards my care. I wrote my own letter explaining that I was already an adult immigrating to another country at the time of the withdrawal and attached a photocopy of my passport stamps, an affidavit that I had never lived at the address the check was sent to, and the receipt of my immigration application which was dated prior to the withdrawal. I asked that the tax liability be transferred to my mother and included her SS number which she signed off on. The IRS sent me a letter back stating that the taxes owing would be issued under my mother's name. Because she was a jobless crack addict, her income was under the federal threshold and she did not need to pay anything due to how low her income was that year. Disaster averted. For those curious, no, I never got the money back and decided not to pursue it. I did not know it existed before the IRS contacted me and I did not feel it was in anyone's best interest to force the issue knowing that I would never get repaid anyways. Mom quit crack a year or two back but still battles her demons in the form of alcoholism. Our relationship has slightly improved. Also, I am a woman, most comments assumed I was male. The end. If you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support me. Thank you so much for your daily support, it really means the world to me and I appreciate every single like and every single comment. Next story, Walmart refused to let me leave with groceries I paid for. Yesterday afternoon, I, 34 female, took my 4-year-old son and 2-year-old daughter grocery shopping at Walmart in Irvine, California. I was waiting on my next paycheck, so I bought $175 worth of groceries with $300 in the bank. The cashier kept asking me to swipe my card, saying the transaction did not go through. I checked my bank balance with my Wells Fargo app and found that Walmart had already charged me the $175 for groceries. I asked for a manager to come and fix the situation. Manager assured me the charge would drop off. He asked for my bank card to call my bank. He said he wanted to look at the customer service phone number, so I told him the phone number. I also called my bank, they opened a claim and said they would email me the claim number, but I checked my inbox and I did not receive an email from them. I asked the manager to try to contact his supervisor to see if the situation could be fixed so I could leave with my groceries, as Walmart had already charged me for them, and with the transaction pending I did not have enough funds available to buy more groceries. Manager refused to contact his supervisor. He said, "He's not here." I ended up having to leave a full cart of groceries with this manager in tears and drive to Wells Fargo to explain the situation. They told me there was nothing they could do as long as the charge was pending. They said to call them as soon as the charge went through. I called Walmart customer service and explained the situation and emailed their corporate office. This morning the charge went through. I called Wells Fargo and let them know, and they emailed me a claim number. I also emailed Walmart customer service again. As a single working mom of 2 young children, $175 is a lot of money to me. That was the grocery budget I had been able to set aside for the entire month for me and the kids. What can I do to make sure I get my grocery money back? You know guys, in some situations you have to call for the manager and it does not automatically make you a Karen. And by the way, how much do you guys pay on average if you go grocery shopping? I would say here where I live, for around $55 you can get a full cart of groceries that can last you around 2 weeks. Update to the Walmart story. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all the thoughtful and kind responses. It really helped me take a proactive approach instead of letting worry sit in the driver's seat. And by the way, that's a proverb I've never heard before. I looked in my bank account this morning and the purchase was reversed. In addition to advice regarding contacting my bank, you guys gave excellent advice about what to do in a situation where I might fall short on food again, which can definitely happen when you are living paycheck to paycheck, and I hope anyone who ever finds themselves in this situation remembers they can always visit a local food pantry in an emergency food shortage. I only posted that original post on this forum, so any similar posts on other forums are not me, but having this happen made me aware of it being a possibility and also something others might go through. My situation had a happy ending, and I believe a lot of that had to do with you guys. Thank you. I have to admit, I just love wholesome stories. And by the way, if you ever find any really awesome wholesome stories on Reddit, feel free to post them in the comments or on r/ripe stories on Reddit. An employee has obtained a personal video of me and is showing it to others. A year ago, I had a brief casual relationship with a co-worker. Since then, I have been promoted and now manage a team of around 40 people, including a woman who is currently dating my ex-partner. This ex, against my wishes, had apparently kept videos of me on his phone, to clarify, explicit sexual videos, and I was aware of their existence but had requested they be deleted. Last week, this woman found one of the videos, sent it to herself, and is now showing it to people that I work with and manage. She's also lying about when this all occurred, saying that it was recent. Obviously, I made a big mistake in my choice of partner. Shaming is not necessary or welcome. I promise you I'm shaming myself plenty. I had a strict no photos policy prior to this and allowed the videos to be taken because I was pressured. That is neither here nor there at this point. I am in New York City. Is there anything I can do from a legal perspective? Does this count as slander/revenge PORN? My job does not have any policies against employee relations, so I am protected on that side of it. I just want this to end now. I appreciate the supportive comments, makes me feel much better. As I'm making inquiries now, it seems she has figured out that distributing the video was a very bad choice. She has got her friends circling the wagons and telling me that the video was never shown to anyone and she never had it. I know for a fact this is a lie, but it complicates things. Apparently, she even broke her phone and got a new one. I have talked to my boss, who is also a good friend. We all work on Saturdays, which is why I'm dealing with it today, and we are trying to figure out options to move forward. Edit number 2, I called my director, who has been my mentor since I started here 3 years ago. I knew he had been told about the situation and was dreading the call, but he was kind and supportive in every way. He actually took the decision completely out of my hands and will be contacting HR and our VP on my behalf. He also reassured me that he does not judge, no one else will judge, and they will take care of me. He also gave advice as far as pressing charges. I guess even her sending it to her phone from his is illegal, even if she never showed it to anyone. I feel so much better. Thank you all for the kindness and support, which are what ultimately made me feel okay about speaking to my director. Honestly, in modern society, I don't wish that upon anyone. But let's see how the story continues. Update to the employee story from before. Since my last post gained some attention, I am posting an update. After I submitted the post on Saturday, I called my director. He has been my mentor and a trusted friend since I started at the company 3 years ago and was already aware that the relationship between myself and my ex was a thing that happened. I had been told that my employee had gone directly to him, I'm assuming to smear me, so I knew I had to speak to him about it directly. I was expecting an "I told you so" type conversation, but he was kind, understanding and completely non-judgmental. He told me he does not look at me any differently and no one else does either who matters. He also made my decision about whether or not to go to HR much easier. Since he is a director and she brought it to him, he was obligated to report it. This was basically the best case scenario for me. I'd had several of her friends come to me and ask me not to go to HR and to let her work it out of her system. Now I can say that the decision to bring it to them was completely out of my hands. I got a phone call from HR this morning asking me to report immediately to them. I asked if I could go to my building first to clock in and change, and they told me nope, as soon as possible. I sat down with them and they were also totally kind and completely non-judgmental and supportive. They got the full story, the names of everyone involved, and asked a lot of good questions. They also confirmed what commenters on the last post told me, that I had done nothing wrong and had nothing to be ashamed of. They even told me that they will do whatever they can to protect my reputation as the investigation moves forward. From what I've heard, both the AVP and the director of HR have dedicated their entire day today to interviews with people, so I feel confident that this is being handled as it should. They called her in this afternoon to get her story and suspended her with pay pending the investigation. As an aside, as my manager drove her to the corporate office for the meeting, she told him how she is the real victim here. The mental gymnastics just totally baffles me. I've been advised to document everything, including any interactions with her friends in case there's any hostile workplace environment concerns. And unfortunately guys, we have reached the end of the video. Please let me know in the comments whether you still enjoy r/LegalAdvice or not. Thank you very much for watching and I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.